All right, you guys introduce yourselves.
I'm Lawson Hines.
Emmett Keith.
Where y'all live?
I live in Rome, Texas.
I live in Grandview, Texas.
All righty, how'd you two guys meet?
We met at Denton Creek, and you said we met in 1974, but Crystal said we didn't meet until 78 when I went to work for Gwen Crossan and met Gene, and Gene Jennings took me down to Denton Creek, and that's where I met you and Morris.
You were 78?
Yeah, 78 when me and you met.
Okay, well I knew that I started fishing with Morris in 73, and I wasn't for sure when you came along.
Yeah.
Morris was our mutual friend, Morris Jennings. He was our connection to each other.
Yeah, and we grew to be real good friends. We went on a lot of fishing trips together, and we've been like family fishermen since. We're just like family. We take and we'd go to Denton Creek, and so our families just grew, you know. And
Well, friendship grew, that's for sure. Friendship, and
yeah,
So how long have y'all been friends?
well, since we met,
since we met, I mean, it was
78.
it was just instant friendship, you know. I mean it's
It's
just
just like fishermen. We just get along. We enjoy fishing, and we enjoy each other, and
yeah.
and we enjoyed Denton Creek. Most people wouldn't go down there.
No,
One time's all they'd go.
no.
They wouldn't go back the second time. Most people wouldn't, but we enjoyed it.
Why Denton Creek? What was so special about Denton Creek?
Big
for y'all?
fish,
Big fish.
big opuses down there.
Yeah.
That's what Morris liked to fish for.
Yeah,
He wanted them big ops. He didn't care about anything else.
yeah,
And he's kind of like the ringleader. He's the one that got it going, and that's what he liked to fish for. And so that's why we fished there.
yeah.
And the way we got started, a long years ago when Morris was young, that was a dairy, and he worked for that dairy guy.
Well, you better clear this up. Where is Denton Creek at?
Denton Creek is they dammed up Grapevine Lake to make Denton Creek, or Denton Creek was there. They dammed up Grapevine Lake, and we fished behind the dam. Denton Creek goes all the way up north somewhere. I don't know how far it goes, but we fished behind the Grapevine Lake Dam.
How did y'all find out about that place?
Well, that's what I was telling you. It used to be a dairy,
Okay.
and Morris worked for that guy. When Morris would get off work, he'd go down there and go fishing.
So that's how he had access to the...
Well, that's how he found out about it.
Okay.
And he had access then. But the guy that owned the dairy leased the land out to the golf course, and then we didn't have access no more. So we had to walk in from them.
Was it
Used
a
to
hard
drive
walk?
down there. Huh?
You used to could drive down to
Used
it?
to drive right down to it.
So after that, after the golf course leased the land, y'all had to walk everywhere?
We had to walk in.
Was that a lot of trouble?
About a mile and a half, toting everything in and toting everything out.
Yeah, during the spring when you first went in, you had to carry your machetes. You had to cut your way in through all that brush and briars and everything because it would grow up.
Poison ivy by the tons down there. I mean, there was one place that looked like a tunnel. You had to chop all the poison ivy out to get through.
Yeah,
But there wasn't none of us allergic to poison ivy, so if you're not allergic to it, it don't bother you.
yeah. And luckily, we weren't allergic to it. We were allergic to it. And we spent a lot of time down there. But, you know, Gene was telling me something. Gene is another friend of ours, and it's Morris's brother. And they've been friends, and Emmett's been with them since they first started. And I met Emmett and Morris through Gene. I worked with him at the machine shop. Told me one time that down there it would get to raining so hard that you guys would get your 5-gallon buckets. Y'all take all your clothes off and put it under that 5-gallon bucket and sit there.
Keep them dry.
Keep your clothes dry.
If it was raining,
Just buck naked.
if it wasn't raining, you pulled your clothes off and put them in a bucket and put a lid on it so when it quit raining, you have dry clothes.
Yeah.
They didn't have frog toads back then?
No.
Or-
Oh, I didn't know anything about them.
Yeah.
If they had them, I didn't know anything about it. And we eventually started taking tarp down there. But what we did with the tarp, if we had anything left over, stuff that we took, like mustard, we didn't take mayonnaise because it wouldn't keep.
Wouldn't keep.
But mustard would keep, and if we had anything like that, we'd hide it down. We'd hide our coffee pot, and that's to put under a tarp and cover it up so we'd have it next time.
Yeah. We take those leaves and branches and everything on top of it.
So that cut down your haul
Didn't have
and
to tote it
everything.
back down there next time we went.
Yeah. So
Okay.
that way
And
we
Morris loved coffee. That man would drink coffee 24 hours a day. The first thing we'd do, he'd have me start building a fire, and he'd walk down to the creek and fill it. He had one of those 2-gallon coffee pots, them old-timey ones. And he'd go down to the creek and fill it up with water and bring it up there. He didn't carry water.
Yeah.
You might took a gallon of drink with it, but that wasn't coffee water. And then the time he'd get back out, have the fire going, he'd take a pound of coffee and pour about half of it in that pot, and that's what we drank was that coffee.
And he drank that coffee all day.
He'd drink coffee.
Yes, sir.
Back when we was working, it'd be hot summertime. If he'd get hot, he'd go drink a cup of coffee. That's how he'd cool off, and drink the coffee. There's no telling how many gallons of coffee that man drank.
Man.
There was no coffee filter in there either?
Oh no, he just
no.
dumped it in there. There wasn't even there was just it used to be that way. Before they had filters and all that, that's where they used to make coffee. We just in a
Big old coffee
a lot of
pot.
times we just use before we got a pot, we just used a gallon can like beans come in, beans are shoot, that'd make coffee too.
Yeah, just throw the grounds in there. Just get you that water out of the creek. Come up there and put it on there, throw that coffee in there and brew it up. It's just old, strong old coffee.
Morris didn't care how strong it was.
No.
There was a point where I wouldn't drink it and Morris would just keep on. He never did. He knew he could drink that coffee till it gone, and we'd go get some more. See, Denton Creek wasn't, it come out of Grapevine Lake, so it wasn't muddy. Of course, it's river water, but it wasn't like mud. It was almost clear, wasn't it? Kinda almost clear.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like we were drinking muddy water, we were just drinking creek water. But that's the way we did it.
And that was some good coffee.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah. And
So-
I'll tell you what, one cup would do me.
So what did you guys carry down there to eat during that time? Y'all stayed one night or 2 nights?
One night.
One
Yeah.
night? Okay.
Well,
We'd take a loaf of bread and a pound of bologna.
yeah, now there was sometimes we would go down there, me and Gene get off work, and we'd start packing in on Friday, and then we'd stay Saturday and catch bait. Saturday night we'd be fishing on, or sometimes we'd be fish Friday night. And
I
then
never did fish on a Friday night.
Yeah, but me and Gene would go down there and we would fish. We would get down there, we would take and fish a little while, get some perch, and we'd set some lines out. We'd fish that night for a little bit. Then Saturday we would take and catch perch all day, and we'd fish all that Saturday night, pull out Sunday.
How did you get Gene to do any fishing?
Well, he drank so much it really didn't bother him.
Gene was a beer drinker. He would take, all he would carry was his beer. He'd carry him in a case of beer.
Yeah.
He wouldn't carry nothing out. He wouldn't carry nothing in or nothing out but his beer.
Yeah.
And he'd get 4 o'clock in the morning, or when I got up, he'd get up, instead of drinking coffee, he'd start drinking beer.
Yeah. He'd start first thing in the morning. That's the first thing he'd drink is beer.
And of course there wasn't no ice, so he drank it hot.
Yeah.
He'd carry it in his pocket. When he'd just, that's what he did. He drank beer. He didn't drink nothing. He didn't drink water, coffee, or nothing. He drank beer.
And if he run out of beer, he would pack out of there and go get him another case of beer and pack it back in. He had to have that beer, like
like
Morris
that beer.
had to have that coffee.
Wow. Y'all worked your tail off just to get down there to fish.
Well, the thing about it is, there's ditches, so you got down a ditch, up and down and up. I mean, it ain't like it's just walking on a trail. It was rough.
You had to hack your way in there then.
See, tell you did. It was rough.
That first trip down in the spring was rough, because we had to take machetes and chop the brush out of the way that had growed up.
Was it worth all that work to
Oh
get
yeah.
there?
Oh yeah.
Man.
Would you do it today if your body
If I was able, I would. I'd love to go down there.
Yeah, everything in the world. I mean, you'd even love it, Ray.
I don't know if Ray would or not.
Oh,
Ray likes to take a shower at night.
we didn't do that down there.
I hear the fire ants were bad down there. How did y'all maneuver around those?
We just lived with them.
Yeah.
Did they eat you up?
Sometimes, if you got in them,
Yeah.
if you got in them, they did. They wasn't no. I mean, we didn't carry no fire ant dope or anything down there with us. We just lived with them. Sometimes mosquitoes is real bad.
Yeah.
And y'all
Sometimes
fought
them-
through all of that just to fish.
Yeah.
There's not too many people that would be willing to do that.
That's why I said a while ago. A lot of people wanted to go, but one trip's all they'd go. You didn't get very many repeaters.
No.
How many times do you think y'all fished down there over the years?
Good.
All 2 or 3 times a month, all spring. I mean,
Yeah.
we quit. I don't think we ever went past July the 4th.
It's too
I think
hot.
July the 4th is probably as late as we ever went down there.
Yeah.
That's even hot then.
Yeah.
Oh, it's hot.
Yes. You're down in there and trees, the brush is so thick, the air couldn't get to you. And boy, you'd sit there and sweat.
Gene's boss wanted to go one time. I'm down at the far end, which is half a mile from camp. I'm down. I heard something behind me in the brush, and I turned around and he was his boss. He was going to make a shortcut, and he got out there in them trees and got lost. He was 3 hours trying to find the creek, but he got out there and he would give out when when I finally heard him and he got out to the creek, and then of course Dean had to walk back to camp.
Yeah.
What is his name?
His name is Gwen Krause.
Gwen.
Yeah, Gwen.
Did he ever go back?
Oh, well, yeah, he liked it.
He liked it.
But
Once
he-
knew how to get there.
But he was rich, see. He was threatening, I don't know if he did, but he was threatening our helicopter to take him down there. I don't know if he ever, did he ever do that?
No, there wasn't any place.
Wasn't any
The only
place to
place
land,
you
was it?
could land, I mean, budweed was so tall, you couldn't land anything in there. And it's real rocky and everything, but he never did do that. He'd always hike in.
What he said he was going to do, but there wasn't a place for him to land, I guess.
Yeah.
Wow. So this place became y'all's special place to go.
Oh,
catch
yeah,
all
we
the
loved
yellows.
it.
Yes.
So what were the sizes? Do y'all remember about what poundage was y'all were getting out of there on those yellow cats?
Oh, anywhere from babies to the biggest in 75 pounds.
Yeah.
That's a good size.
Yeah. 75
Good size.
pounds.
You had to tow them out in a tow sack. We'd take a
Yeah.
tow sack and put the fish in and get it wet, and then we'd throw it on the back and we'd carry them out.
Everybody
Those big ones would-
had fish.
The big ones, we'd put a limb between us, and 2 of us would tow them big ones out.
Yeah. And there's
Y'all put a
lots
lot
of
of work
times
in
we
just
took
to fish.
them, tie them fish on them limbs, and 2 guys had towed them out on them limbs.
Wow.
Yeah.
It was, we were young then, and it was okay.
Yeah.
My wife didn't like it. She said, "You got to quit going down there. It's too hard on you." And of course, I never did quit going.
How old were you guys when y'all were fishing down there, you think?
Oh, I was 30. We were about 30, wasn't we?
Yeah.
35.
When I first started going down there, it was about, around, was in our 30s.
We was
late
in our 30s, and of course,
Yeah.
nothing bothered me then. I mean, I'd have gone down there every day.
Mm-hmm.
At at 30 because I wasn't stove up.
How old are you guys now?
He's 70.
I'll be 74 tomorrow.
All right.
I'm 76.
And you wouldn't go back down there today?
I would love to go
Yeah, me too.
if I was physically able. I'm not physically able to do that anymore.
Well, you can do it now, Emmett. And I went down there.
You told me that, but we never have tried.
You know, they built for that dairy set that Emmett was talking about earlier. They built a great big old apartment complex there, and they have a concrete jogging trail running up along the bank of the creek. And you remember the old root tree where Morris?
Oh Lord, yes.
Morris, he's like a spider monkey. This is a sharp cliff like this, and these tree roots are running out into the water. And Morris, he'd get out there and he'd climb them roots out there, and every time we'd go down there, he would get that line, and he'd take his bait and put it in his pocket, and he would go out there and he'd bait that hook up and he'd throw it off them roots. And he'd climb out off of that thing, and he had a fish and everything else, and he'd get that fish out of there, but he's hanging over that water on them roots.
He was physical, about like lost in his skin as a rail. He was 6 foot 3 or 4.
Yeah, he's 6 foot 2 or 3, something like that.
And he told me one time, the man said, I weigh 138 pounds. Said, I ain't never weighed that much in my life. So that's the kind of body he had.
Yep.
And it's just like a squirrel. I mean, he was limber and agile, and he just,
Yeah.
it didn't bother him. Even there I couldn't get on them roots hardly at all. They're just, but it didn't bother him.
Yeah.
I think in that video there might be a picture of that root tree.
You know, I think there is. I think
The reason we call it that, there was probably 30 roots, 40 roots come off that tree out in March to climb out there on them, and he'd tie that. We used to cut our poles down there. We'd get a little, this was a jungle looking thing, and those little trees come up, and they were tall and spindly, and that's what we used for poles. We'd take the machete and chop one of them little trees down, and that's what we used for our poles.
Yeah. We would take them and stab them into the bank, and we tie our lines to the end of it because they can't break them. They're green. And our lines, we'd just throw them off there, and you'd always knew, because sometimes them poles would be almost slapping the water, them fish so big and hitting so hard and fighting. But yeah, we didn't tie off the trees or anything. We'd go cut our poles, and they'd be probably about 6 foot long.
6, 7 foot long.
6, 7 foot long, and we'd run them about 1.5 foot, or however deep we could get them, and we'd tie the end of the line to it and just throw it out in the water.
The lines is one of the only things we carried. We didn't leave our lines. We'd carry them back. We'd carry them back and forth because we had to have them.
Yeah, had to have them.
And then the only thing really that we carried was the hooks and about 2 or 3 boxes of worms and our cane poles. We left our cane poles once we got them down.
Yeah.
And we'd fish for perch. We'd catch our perch. And the more perch we caught, the more lines we'd put out. If we didn't catch but a dozen perch, of course we didn't put out but a dozen lines. It's in the springtime when it's cold, perch don't bite very well.
They hardly bite at all.
So you don't get very many perch.
Right.
Wow. Okay. We're going to have a pause here and let this kind of...
That shows us getting a fish. I don't know which hole that is. I can't tell.
Yeah, but anyway, and we get the fish out when we would, right here where Emmett is down here trying to get that fish in. He's got that line in his hand. He's got a gaff hook. And what it is, it's a big long pole. It's about 3 foot long with a big old hook in the end of it. He'd get it up there to the water, and he would have that fish in one hand, and he'd take that gaff hook him in the bottom lip, and drag him in. And he'd drag him up on top shore, and there he is showing off the fish. And that one there, how big do you think that thing is?
Probably 10 pounds. It's not very big.
Not very big, but it's 10-pound yellow cat.
He weigh about 10 pounds probably.
That's not too bad at all, is it?
No, it's a good little fish.
Shoot ya.
Ah. Are you still recording?
Yeah,
Ain't they pretty?
yeah, that's not too bad.
All right, that's a good start.
Okay, time to go to the next one, ain't it?
Yep.
All right.
Anyway, that's probably the first one.
That was the first one. Here's the second one. They'll bend them poles pretty good.
Yeah. And that one
And
there.
this bank is real steep, so you've got to be careful you fall in.
Yeah.
Well, I noticed watching that video the first time you had on a pair of tennis shoes and blue jeans
Yeah.
down there at the edge of that water. You were the one pulling them in, Emmett.
I think I pulled all of them in. I
He
kinda-
pulled all of them in, and usually I'd be back up on the bank, and he'd hand me that. If it's real steep, well, Emmett would hand me that gap hook,
And
and
then
I'd go ahead and pull a fish on in and take it out, and we'd give him the bait, and he'd rebait it and pitch it out while we was taking care of the fish that you just pulled in.
So everybody had their place out there.
Everybody had the job,
It-
had the
okay.
place.
the bank was too steep for everybody to get down there. I mean,
Oh yeah,
they're steep and slick.
yeah. And I'd rather Emmett do it, 'cause I can't swim. and believe you me, I just and I'd panic if I ever fell in the water. and but yeah, it's we caught a lot of fish down there, and
Yeah, that's a good one. That
now
weighs 20,
that
25.
one here, the second fish we pulled in. Now that thing, what do you say, about 25?
20, 25. See, I handed it to another guy and he pulled it uphill. There's no way I could get up the hill with it.
No,
But I'm just barely hanging on.
yeah, you're barely hanging on there. That's steep. You're having to lay on your side and plant your feet in.
Yeah.
And that is Morse's grandson. That's Jason.
Was that Jason that's down there?
Yeah, that was Jason that was down there with us.
Who was doing the filming?
Marsh's
Son-in-law.
son-in-law. We
Okay,
can't
he's
remember his
the one
name.
doing the filming. And
Was it Brian or
yeah,
something?
and we
See, that's
did.
a good fish there.
That's a
no
good
weight.
one there.
That's no weight 25 or 30.
Yeah, yeah, between 25 and 30 pounds. And Morse's grandson, we didn't know that he was allergic to poison ivy. On this fishing trip right here, that poor boy, he got out of there and he wore shorts. We got out, they had to put him in the hospital.
He was beat up.
That poor kid, he was just eaten alive with poison ivy. Boy, I mean, it got him bad.
People that are allergic to poison ivy is bad.
Yeah, it really is. It can put you in the hospital, and it did him. I think he was probably about 13 years old
Probably.
there, about 13 years old. So that was a bad trip for him.
There's a lot of poison ivy down there. I mean, it's
Oh yeah, it's poison ivy, poison oaks, everywhere down there.
I couldn't go.
far
You're
ain't,
allergic to it.
far ain't. And here's another fish we're getting in there.
Yeah.
See, I can't remember.
Yeah. And Emmett's got that hook in his hand now. He's inching down, he's working his way down that.
He pulled. I'll let him slack so he won't pull off.
Yeah. Yeah,
You got to work them like you do anything else. You can't. You can't manhandle them. They'll get off.
It's just like you on a rod and reel, you just can't hoss them in. You got to sit there and work, and just ease them up there and get that gap hook in their mouth. Then, but yeah, this was it. What we done when we'd run these lines, we would fish all that Saturday. We'd catch all of our perch and everything, and we'd start at about 6 o'clock. We'd go bait them out. We'd bait all the hooks and everything out. And we would, every 2 hours, so we'd go at 8, 10, 12.
Till we run out of bait.
Until we run out of bait. Then we'd lay down and sleep 2 or 3 hours, and then next morning we'd pack out. Like Sunday morning, we'd take and have them tow sacks. We'd have them wet. We'd put the fish in tow sacks sometimes, and sometimes we'd just stake them out with fishing string. But we'd have the tow sacks wet so they lived as we brought them out.
We always staked them out because there wasn't no way to keep them alive.
Yeah.
So we'd tie a string in them out and then put them back in the water and get them out the next morning.
Yeah.
Were y'all tired after y'all did a
Oh
night
yeah.
of
Oh,
Yeah, you're
my
tired, man.
goodness.
You'd give out.
And about halfway out, there was this one tree we'd stop under coming out
To rest.
and rest. And boy, we'd get there and we just pass out. And we'd stay there half an hour or so.
Yeah, to get our air back, and then we'd
Yeah,
go on.
yeah. And Emmett would, when we'd stake him out, Emmett would take his pocket knife where he had that gaff hook. He'd take and cut a deal through the bottom of the lip right there, tie that string and pull it all the way through and knot it. And then we'd have a stake and we'd stake it out and pitch them out in the water.
just like a stringer?
Yeah, indeed. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Just a homemade stringer.
Yeah, homemade stringer. And down there in a place like that, you'd learn, different ways of doing things, and you just use what you have, But I remember one time you tied some out. What happened in it? They was 1 or 2 that we had tied down there. You didn't have them tied good, and he lost them. You remember that?
It wasn't there, was it?
Yeah, it's Denton Creek.
I don't remember.
Yeah,
Some things is good to forget.
yeah,
I don't remember that. I really don't.
yeah. And this one here, where you're laying over that tree, right there, and I'm right there at the shore,
Yeah.
and I'm bent down there. He's fixing to try to get a fish in. He's on that bank. He's having to hold on to that tree and just ease down the bank. And here's where you almost fell in.
Yeah.
Well, you're actually
I
in the
probably
creek
actually
there.
got in the water there.
Yeah, you got in the water there because you couldn't, where we had him tied. And
Mark would put them limbs anywhere. He'd go way out on the limb, like say he was agile. He'd go out on the limb, tie him way out there. Well, there's no way to get to it without climbing out there to get him, and Mark wouldn't use it to go get him.
Yeah. And, but anyway, he's a small one. He probably weighs
8, 7, 8 pounds.
7, 8
That's not a big
pounds,
one
something
now.
like that.
But it was fun. I'd do it again, like that, if I was able. But
Me too.
there
I'd
ain't
do it
no
in a
way I'm
heartbeat.
able to do that.
Yeah, and we used 12-aught stainless steel hooks, and we put 2 to a line.
Mark started out down there. He'd just go down to the regular hooks, and he wasn't catching anything.
Yeah,
So he went to a bigger hook. Went to a big hook, and we finally got up to a 10 or 12-aught hook, and that's to catch the fish, because they'd break. Just straighten out a small hook. I mean, you wouldn't get them.
there
They-
wasn't no way.
They'd straighten them hooks out, and they'd be gone.
Them hooks be almost straight as your finger.
Where did y'all clean the fish at? Down there, or did y'all?
At home, we had to bring them home to clean. There wasn't no water. There's nothing down there now. I'm telling you.
I mean, no, and you couldn't take an ice chest. We didn't do that.
Well,
We
you
didn't-
could, but you had to carry it in, carry it out. We didn't do that.
No, we just didn't do that.
We didn't take ice chest. We didn't take nothing but just a loaf of bread and a pound of bologna and our hooks and
Beanie weenies.
some beanie weenies. That was it. That's all we carried.
Yeah.
And of course, Gene carried his beer, but he didn't carry anything else. He wouldn't even carry fish out.
No.
Gene had his beer. That was all. Gene loved to go down there, but he didn't.
Yeah.
There's one. Gene would put out one pole into the curve down there by the root tree,
Yeah.
that was Gene's spot, and he'd put one pole out there, and he'd go back to camp. He wouldn't run it, but he'd put it out.
Yep. He would.
That was his spot.
Yeah.
And his pole.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah, and that was it. And here's a picture of us. That's
At camp.
yeah, that's me, you, and Morris, and Gene. And there's that pot of coffee sitting right there on
Yeah,
the
there's that coffee pot.
Yeah, with that river water in it.
Yeah.
And but yeah, I think we was getting ready to pull up that.
We was getting
morning.
ready to go
Run lines and pull them up.
run lines, pull them up and head out.
Yeah,
It was daylight. It's time to leave.
yeah.
There's old Gene.
Yeah, old Gene. Yeah. Yeah. He looked like he's about half dead.
Well, he was drunk. He stayed drunk the whole
I know,
time. I don't think the man ever wasn't drunk.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't act drunk. He was one of them guys that drank all the time. So he never acted drunk. He wasn't mean. I mean, he was a real mellow guy. He didn't get belligerent or anything. He was just Gene.
Yeah. He was a good guy.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he'd do anything for anybody. You know.
But he just drank beer. That's why he didn't eat. He'd eat very little. He get it. Now there's the corner. There's
Yeah.
Gene's
Yeah.
curve in the creek,
Yeah. That's his curve right there.
and that's where he fished. And there's a fish on.
Yeah. And
Gene's going to get it and pull it out, and he ain't going to take it off. He's going to pull it out of his fish, and he's going to go back to camp.
Yeah.
He's going to go back and get him a beer. He's not going to.
And that's Gene. Boy,
That was his one spot. He'd put a pole out right there, and that was it. He'd go back to camp.
Yeah. This one here is 6:30 in the morning.
Yeah, I see that.
We'd get up with sunrise. Be just, and it's damp down there, and you wake up every morning, you're
The
sticky.
dew everywhere.
Dew.
You're all wet from the dew.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you have to love fishing to go to a place like this. I mean, it's just, and like I said, we enjoyed it. It was rough, buddy. It was rough. You had to be a die-hard fisherman to do this. And it got a lot of good memories.
Oh, yeah, Lord.
I mean,
Lord, yeah.
we had a lot of laughs down there. At one time, we were down there. There's a drift down there. This here was after that drift. They had a flood come down there and it washed that big old drift out. And we'd go out on that drift, and you would climb on them limbs and stuff on that drift, and you'd fish in that drift, catching them perch and stuff. Well, Gene got brave one day. He went plumb across the drift, and he went out there on a bank, and he was sitting there squatting down, just fishing for perch. He slid down that bank and in the water, and there's a water moccasin come up right beside him. And Gene, he looked like the Energizer Bunny climbing a cliff. Boy, he was coming out of that water. Every one of us just dying, laughing. It's a wonder we hadn't fell off in the water on that drift. Oh boy, oh Emmett, it was just comical watching him, especially when that snake come up, water moccasin come up alongside him. But we had a lot of fun.
We was down there one time, and when you catch your perch, sometimes we had buckets. Me and Gene went somewhere, didn't have a bucket, so he decided he was going to put them perch in the tow sack. You know, that keep them alive because you put the tow sack in the water and the perch stay alive. Well, he didn't. What you do when you put them in the tow sack, you wrap the tow sack up. He didn't do it, and the snake got in there. Got in there with our perch.
Yeah.
So we got ready to go fishing. We get a bucket, we put water in, and we just take the tow sack and undo it and dump the perch in the bucket. We take off baiting lines with our perch. We'd baited 2 or 3 lines. Of course, you get your hand in there and you find a perch, you get it out. Well, we got to that good hole down there, and Gene said, "Well, this is a good hole. I'm gonna get one of them big perch." And he got down to the bottom, he brought a snake up with him and scared me. Of course, I didn't even touch the snake, but I'd had my hand in that bucket, getting them perch out, and got back and telling Martin, "Right, well, you damn idiot!" Said, "You ought to know you're supposed to twist that sack up, the snake wouldn't get in there." And laughed out on me. It was funny then, but it scared me because I'd had my hand in that bucket 4 or 5 times getting perch out. And Mark Wayne got bit down there and had to go to the hospital. One time he didn't go back to that time he got snake bit. He wouldn't go back down there. But there was a lot of snakes.
Oh, yes.
A lot of snakes.
You seen a snake every time you went down there.
But that one time, like I say, he didn't see. When you lay the toe sack on the bank, you twist it so a snake can't get in there. Well, he didn't twist it. He was busy catching perch. God Almighty, he reached his hand down there. And I'm gonna get a big perch. He pulled that snake out. He jumped back and hollered, and I jumped back and hollered, and I was scared dead to put my hand in the bucket to get in the perch out, because I don't like snakes.
Yeah.
There's
the root tree.
There's the root tree right there.
Yeah.
All them, and I'm sure he's got a limb on. That's probably where I'm going to try to get that.
Now, this is Gene, isn't it? Right here. No, or is that you fixing to go out there?
That's me, probably.
Yeah, and that's Morse's grandson.
Yeah,
That's Jason.
that's Jason.
There. Yeah, that's Jason.
Jason wanted to get that one, so he
Yeah.
goes out there. And
Yeah.
he's 13 or 14.
Yeah.
And that fish, when he got hooked, he just come back up to the bank and was just sitting there.
Yeah.
You could see him. He'd got that hook, and I guess he'd fought that hook for a while, and he just come back up and was just sitting right on the bottom, right next to the bank, just sitting there.
Yeah. He fought it so hard for so long. He would give out. Yeah, that's Morse's grandson. But anyway, that's right next to the root tree.
That's the first fish he ever tried to get in.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
he's having fits. He's got that gaff hook in one hand, got that line in the other, and he's and that fish.
He wasn't very coordinated.
No, he wasn't coordinated at all.
Of course, I don't guess anybody is at 13.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there I am. See, I'm just barely hanging on that bank.
Yeah. And it's steep. That bank is.
Finally got a.
Yeah.
Finally got a.
Yeah.
Enough of a foothold I could hang on to it, but but you can't move. You can't do anything. See, I'm having to help him out.
Yeah. He
And then
couldn't
somebody's
come
going to
up.
have to help me out.
Going to have to pass the fish to somebody else.
One guy couldn't get down and get fish and get out.
Yeah.
Could they?
No. But that's the old root tree right there.
Mhm.
I think Morse has got that. He climbed out on that thing and set that line. And that's a blue there, isn't it, Emmett?
I think, yeah, that's not a.
Yeah, that's blue there.
No, that's a flathead.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. He looks awfully dark in that picture.
Well, we're packing up there. That's the end of
Yeah,
her.
we're rolling.
There's that root tree, and you can see me out there trying to get Marsh's line off of it.
Yeah, you're trying to get out there. You're hugging that tree right there.
Old Marsh, he loved that place for some reason. I don't know if we ever caught a fish there, but he loved to
You
climb
know-
out on them roots.
Yeah.
That's a good picture of that root tree. But
Yeah.
I don't imagine it's there now. It's probably washed away by now.
The last time I was down there, it was still there.
Was it?
Yeah. And the last time I was down there, I fished right along them roots along that bottom right there. Caught some fish. Me and my son and another guy went down there. And his mate. son, he went down there with me, and it was his first time to catch a big flathead, and it weighed about 65 pounds. And my son, he grabbed a hold of that line, and it like to jerked him in the water, and he started pulling. No, 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 don't do that. You can't do that. And I told him, let the line loose. And I told him, now get the line and pull it in easy. And he got a picture of him with that. He was big enough we had to use a tree limb, hook him on it, tie him to that tree limb. Yeah, a lot of big fish.
There's Jason the gar he caught
Yeah.
when he's fishing
Yeah,
the
got a
perch.
big old gar.
He hooked that gar. He just left it. He wouldn't even get it off the hook.
Yeah,
He just throwed the whole thing down and rod and reel and all, and just walked away from it.
he wasn't about to touch that thing. It's gonna get him. And this one here, it's 6:28 in the morning here.
That was in '98. Is that what that says? '98.
Yeah, 98. Yeah,
May of '98.
yeah. Boy, that is a big old gar. Not as big as they get though.
Lord no.
Yeah. There you go. I think, is that the last pole?
I think we're going to bring. Yeah, I think that's the last fish.
Yeah. Sitting down, getting ready.
You got to be gentle with them. You can't.
No.
You can't manhandle them.
You can't manhandle them. Because them things has got such, it's unbelievable the pull these big fish have. And
Yellows are stronger than the others. Them boy, they're strong in that
Yeah.
water. They ain't nothing out of the water, but they're in the water. They're strong.
yeah. They're really strong.
I think that cold front just moved in on
Yeah,
us.
it's that cold front moving in.
Well, I missed you.
Yeah, you missed me that time.
You got to get that hook in that lower lip.
Yeah, you're gonna get it. You won't get it here.
You leave him in the water till you get that
Yeah,
hook in that lower lip.
yeah, you won't find it till you get that hook in your mouth.
As far as I can go with it, you got to have help now.
Yeah, that's me. I'm up on the bank right above you there, pulling
You can see
it
how
up.
steep that bank is.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a big old blue. What do you think that one weighs?
It
35?
probably weighs 30, 35. Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
nice fish.
Yeah, that's a nice fish there. Yeah, we got a load of fish that time. I don't know how many fish we come out with.
Well, I think it was 14 something.
Yeah.
And there ain't such a thing that stays clean down there. You know, climbing up and down them muddy banks and all, that ain't gonna happen.
Yeah.
Did y'all meet down there, or did y'all ride together down there?
Me and him actually met down there because me and Morris and Gene went on down. I think he come down later. He come with Gene later or something.
Yeah.
We didn't actually ride together down there.
Yeah. We usually take our own vehicles down there. We park it down there. There's a parking lot right there as you
At
come
the
in
dam.
on the north end of the dam. And we park at a parking lot there. And we would park right there at the dam. And then we'd walk down the creek and then walk up it. And that part right there belonged to the golf course.
He wouldn't let us cross the golf course.
No.
Wouldn't let us on that golf course. If they found us, they'd run us off.
Yeah.
They didn't.
We
They didn't
got-
want fishermen on their land.
Yeah.
We were fishermen. We wasn't golfers.
Yeah.
It sounds like y'all were dirty fishermen.
We were dirty time that morning. By morning time, we're dirty,
Yeah. Oh, yes.
muddy.
Yeah. Sticky and smelly. Smell bad.
Well, we had to.
Yeah.
We had to smell bad.
Yeah.
You can see that little tree that we cut. How big they are. That now is probably 8 foot tall.
Yeah, that's a big limb right there. It's cut, but yeah, and when they went in there and cleaned all of that out, you can't find them poles now to settle line. If you done anything like that, you'd have to go somewhere and cut them.
Well, you could use a rod like a rod and reel pole, but it wouldn't be very good.
No,
Not long enough.
but the best pole there is, though, is a good old willow pole, about 1.5 inches.
That's that big around at the base and probably as tall as this tent. That's good pole. They're limber.
Yeah. Yeah, the green willow, they won't break that. No way in the world they break a green willow.
What you do, you put them in the bank at an angle. You don't put them straight up and down. They'd break them if they're straight up and down. Put them at an angle. And they won't pull it out. They just pull down on it. And you never put them straight up and down.
Yeah.
Put them at an angle. Here we fix to pull them fish out. That's all tangled up.
Oh yeah. And you'd stake them out on that line, and you'd have them all individually tied, and they would sit there and they'd wrap that up, and you'd spend a few minutes trying to get it all untangled and everything.
Get them all untied and pick them up. There's probably, I don't know, 3 or 4 fish there. The easy spot, when you find an easy spot, that's where you stake them out.
Yeah.
Or you're going to have to get them the next morning.
Yeah. There's me and you trying. We're getting them out. Right?
There they are.
Yeah, that's them right there.
I'm hanging on that tree, keep falling in.
Yeah, and I'm dragging them up the bank.
Yeah.
There's 3 of them there.
You got the toe sack.
Yeah, there's the old tow sack. We can put them in a tow sack.
We stopped there at Grapevine and buy them toe sacks at the feed store. There's a feed store there in Grapevine. We'd stop there and get 5 or 6 toe sacks when we needed them. We'd probably take a dozen toe sacks with us to carry the fish out. A yellowcat doesn't have fins like the others. They have fins, but they're not sharp. So they won't poke you like a blue or like a channel cat will. They've got blunt fins on them. They're not sharp like these little ones.
Yeah. And there you go. Emmett's got that thing over his back. Boy, I just don't see how Emmett done that.
I was strong back them days. I mean, it didn't.
Well, you were in your 30s.
Yeah, I was strong. It didn't. Nothing to stop me if I wanted to move. That's the way it was with that tree stump with them kids of yours.
Yeah.
I can do it.
Yeah.
That's the attitude I had.
Yeah.
I had that attitude. There wasn't nothing I couldn't do, and it wasn't if I wanted to. I could just about do it. And of course, there's a limit. I had the attitude that if he's there and I wanted to do it, I could do it.
Yeah.
That's pretty good in that. That in a way, 20, 25.
Yeah. At least 25.
I didn't even have a tummy back then. I was just a little baby.
Yeah. I know.
Wonder what happened.
I don't know.
They always starting out. We'll have to start and get some more fish on the way. We hadn't staked out all up and down that river. And that creek, we haven't staked out different.
Jason's got one in his back.
Jason, all he wanted to carry. I can't. Well, I know you can carry one.
Yeah.
I can't. You know, and I'd get hold of that thing, boy, and he did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's one of them kids. Thought he couldn't do anything.
Yeah. Yeah, we're going down to get them other fish.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Look how far down there, just that bank, how steep
yeah,
it is.
that bank is sharp. That's that point. That point there, I think, is gone now.
Is it?
I think that point that you're right there at that tree and everything else is gone there.
That's where we hung that big one to pull Morris in.
It is.
Yeah, that's the same spot there where Morris got hold of that fish and pulled his ass in the river. He was just sliding him down the bank, and Morris hollered, Gene, come here, grab my belt. So Gene grabbed a tree and grabbed his belt. Hell, they never stopped that. They never saw that fish.
Yeah.
It finally straightened the hook out, and they never saw it. They don't know how big it was.
Yeah.
But it is dragging Morris down the bank. Of course, like I say, 128 pounds, but it was still dragging him down the bank.
Yeah. But for being tall and skinny, he was strong.
Oh yeah, he was strong. Ain't no doubt about
strong.
that.
Yeah, no
It
doubt.
wasn't that he couldn't hold it, just his footing wasn't any good.
Yeah. Them big old steep banks there, that muddy
His foot
sand.
was that long. God Almighty, he must have wore 12 or 14 shoes.
He had ski feet.
Mm-hmm. And squat like you do, he'd squat all day long, fish.
Yep.
Fish first just squatting.
Yeah.
Never get up, never just, he'd reach over and get a worm put, and he had his bucket there where he put the fish in. He'd squat for hours
Yeah.
and get up and just go. I mean, he didn't have to straighten up and get straight.
Yeah.
I never could do that. I never could squat. Hurt
Yeah.
my knees.
Yeah.
Didn't bother him.
Well, I used to be able. I can't do it no more.
Well, you still squat every night. I saw you squatting a while ago.
Yeah, I can squat, but I can't stay there long.
Mark could stay there for hours.
Yes, he would.
And instead of sitting in the chair, he'd just squat. I mean, that really, if there was a chair there, he'd just soon squat as he had sat in the chair.
Well, it was comfortable.
Yeah, it worked for him.
Yeah, it's just, a chair's okay, but
Didn't bother him just to squat.
yeah.
And we always cut new poles. You want a good green limber pole. You don't want to use them old ones that's dried out and it'll
Yeah.
snap.
Yeah, they snap on you and you lose your line, fish, everything.
So we always cut new poles. Well, we had to take a machete with us to do that.
And I still got that machete that I took.
Do you?
I still got that gaff hook that Gene made me. I've still got it. I got it over there in the camper. Yeah, he made me a gaff hook. Mine's about 2 foot long. But I still got that Gene made.
I wonder what happened to that.
Yeah, I still got it. Well, I don't know what happened to that long one. The one that you had.
I don't have it. I don't know what happened to it.
I don't either, but Gene made me one. It was about 2 foot long, 2.5 foot. And
I don't know what happened to the one I was using. I never did. I didn't get off with it. I guess Morris kept it.
yeah, he probably did. There's another gar.
That's that same one.
Yeah, it is. That's the one that Jason caught. He wouldn't take it off.
He wouldn't
Uh-uh.
undo his.
He wouldn't touch it. Yeah. Good old days.
He more than do that. He'd give us a fine for not throwing that fish back.
Yeah. Just left him. He's dead there, isn't he?
He is now. Yeah, he's been on the bank all day though.
Oh, okay.
Jason caught him, and when he hit it, when he got it on land, he looked at that thing and he took off. He dropped his rod and reel and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't want nothing to do with that gar.
No.
It was always it had a pretty good current. It was never still. It had a, I don't know, 2 or 3 mile an hour current, didn't it?
Always had a current. The water never stood still.
Always had a current to it.
You can see the bottom right there.
Yeah, well, yeah, we got them staked out. That's down there where Gene's, I think that's at Gene's curve.
Yeah. And there's
There's 3 there, ain't there?
yeah, two.
Two or 3
there's
there.
2 there.
They're going in the sack.
Yeah.
There's 2 of them. Let me check that. He got film. Alright, here comes the other.
You put 3 in
There's
there.
another one.
Okay. That's 7. Yeah.
There's 3 in that sack and 3 in another sack, and Jason had that 1. So that's at
7.
least 7.
Yeah. That's 7 you know right now.
We had a good night's fishing.
Yeah, we sure did.
Yeah, you got to put all them things out.
Yeah.
It's a long ways back to pick up from right there.
Yeah. Yeah, it is, especially carrying all that weight.
A long ways back to pick up.
Yes, long ways.
Here we're headed out now.
Yeah, I think.
Now you can see that big old tunnel of poison ivy.
Yeah, it's in here somewhere.
Do y'all remember the smell of that area out there?
It didn't smell bad at all. It was
Real clean.
It just smelled, I mean, it just,
it would just smelled good.
yeah, it smelled good down there.
There was no smell, you know, it wasn't.
Yeah. Yeah, it was good, clean air down there back then, but
Back then it was.
yeah, back then. But now I imagine it smells
It
like
probably
the
smells
city.
like town now.
Yeah. Yeah, we down here we had to cross. There's a barbed wire fence right at the top of the cliff, about a 6-foot cliff. You had to go over that barbed wire fence, and really when you got over it, you had to go down that bank. And
And that-
usually if you had a load of fish, it'd drag you down it.
And that's where them Vietnamese kept stealing our bait.
Yeah,
They'd fish it up by the dam, and they'd watch us. If we had a big perch, we put on the bait, we'd walk off, they'd run in and take our perch off.
yeah.
On
They
your
did.
limb lines?
Yeah!
Yes.
There's always 15 or 20 of them, and they'd watch us, and if we baited them lines, they'd come down and get our perch off, and then go back.
Yeah.
They did that several times. We got to where we wouldn't fish up there because they'd just steal our bait.
Yeah.
And Vietnamese come get their bait off.
Yeah.
There's that barbed wire
There's that
fence.
barbed wire fence, and then you got that cliff right there. It goes down the river, and you got to walk along the side of the river. And you hadn't got it but a ledge about like that when you cross that, and you got that big old bag of fish. If you didn't watch it, you'd tumble off that sucker.
It was rough fishing.
Yeah.
Sure was fun though.
Oh yeah, it was fun.
Here's that poison ivy.
Yeah.
Here's that poison ivy.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going through all that poison ivy in there.
Yeah, look at it. It's everywhere.
Oh yeah, it's everywhere. Yeah. Yeah, the old saying is 3 leaves, let it be.
Mars smoked, and he'd walk about 200 yards or something. He'd stop and rest. He'd stop and rest. He'd smoke a cigarette. And when he finished that cigarette, he'd get and go till
Yeah,
he wanted another cigarette. And then he'd stop and get it, and then he'd go till he wanted another cigarette.
yeah,
It took him about 4 cigarettes to get out of there.
yeah.
There's more part than either.
Yeah.
There's where you have to cross the fence to get down, right there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's where we set one line is was coming out.
Yeah,
that's where the Vietnamese.
That's
would
when the
get
Vietnamese
get
kept
our
stealing the
bait.
bait.
Yeah, right there in that curve. Yeah, they steal our bait right there, so we couldn't set a hook there no more. They'd come down there and steal the bait off of it. They wouldn't take a line, but
No, they wanted that fish to eat.
yeah, they wanted that.
We're
fish.
catching perch, you know, nice sized perch.
Yeah,
Down there, the bigger the perch, the bigger the fish.
yeah,
We was fishing perch one night or one evening, caught a little carp about that long. He weighed a pound or something. Margie said, put him in there. I said, oh hell, Margie. Yeah, I said, put it down. I said, we'll catch fish on that in the morning. Well, our last one at midnight was out of perch. He said, put that carp on there. So I did, just to make him happy. We was running them lines, and we'd caught a fish. The carp was here, and we caught a fish right here. And got him in. Marshall, well, go get that other line while I'm bagging this nut. I got down to Marshall, I need some help. Oh hell, get that thing, come on. I said, Marshall, I need some help. Near the 45 pounder to eat that carp.
Actually eat the whole carp.
Well, we caught him on the carp. He was going to eat it. I don't know if he swallowed it or not.
yeah.
There we are resting. There we are resting, so
Yeah.
we could. That's about the halfway point there.
Yeah, that's exactly the halfway
Yeah.
point.
Halfway back to the pickup.
Yeah. Yeah, we get up late today, start running them things.
Get home about 10, 11, 12 o'clock and just give plumb out.
Yeah. And have to clean fish.
Yeah. You'd get home and just, I mean, just when you do that all night and you're tired, you don't realize you're tired till you get home and relax. And then when you relax, you just can't even hardly get up. You're so tired. And that's when you're young. I can't imagine doing it now.
Oh, there's no way. We couldn't do it.
I can't imagine trying to do that now.
No.
I don't know that I wouldn't try. Well, I couldn't try. No, I couldn't climb them banks. Hell, I can barely get out of a chair. I couldn't climb them banks.
I know I couldn't. Well, that's the end of that
That's
fishing
the end
trip.
of it. That's the end of the trip.
That's the end of the trip. A lot of good memories.
There's no way I could do that. I couldn't climb them banks.
No.
I didn't even know I could walk that far. I sure couldn't climb back and get them fish out and all that. I couldn't do that.
No, can't do it anymore.
Lots of good memories.
Yeah, lots of good memories.
Well, I appreciate it, guys. Thank you all.
Yeah, you bet.